Every new blend borrows from the past, and the Saga Blend number 7, it is the perfect combination of timeless knowledge of traditional tobaccos and the newer balance that today's cigar enthusiasts come to expect and love in a fine cigar. Leveraging 6 generations of experience and tradition of the Reyes family, the Saga Blend number 7 delivers a unique, full-flavored, medium-bodied cigar. The cigar is highlighted by a Brazilian wrapper over a blend of Central American and Dominican tobacco. Available in 3 sizes at an affordable price, the Saga Blend number 7 is sure to please and bring together past and present.
Brought to you by Rocky Patel Premium Cigars. The Tabacero by Hamlet Paredes, developed and blended by Cuban master of tobacco, Hamlet Paredes. This cigar is an exciting addition to the Patel family, featuring traditional and rare sizes, hand-picked by Hamlet himself. Smoke Tabacero by Hamlet Paredes today. For more information, visit them on the web at rockypatel.com and be sure to follow Rocky Patel Premium Cigars on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
When we review or report on something, we don't want there to be any guesswork. We believe the information must be accurate, and it has to be reliable. For what we review, the goal is hopefully to educate our audience, and at the same time, an equally important goal is in turn to get educated ourselves. What we want to do is earn the trust of our audience, and to do that, we ensure what we report is accurate, rumor-free, and teaser-free. The premium cigar industry is so dynamic, and every day brings something new. We wanted Cigar Coop to be an extension of that experience, so it has to be 365 days a year. We wanted to create a true media ecosystem and integrate Cigar Coop with the power of our Stogie Geeks programming network. Welcome back to the Stogie Geeks Show, episode 209 for this November 14th. Will Cooper in Studio C in North Carolina. We have Mark, Tyler, and Riley at the controls of the Vilga North America Studios in Rhode Island, and Tom Pearson from Commonwealth Cedar Spills, our special guest co-host. Next week, you're not going to want to miss episode 210. We will have an interview with Rocky Patel that was done here in Charlotte. I have one of my good friends, Stace Birkeland, did the interview with me. We're going to not only have the interview, we're going to talk a little around that interview as well. You know, when we get to a guy like Rocky, it generates a lot of good discussion on what it's like to do an interview like that. So we're going to talk about that interview as well. And we're also going to have someone from the coffee industry as well. So we'll probably feature that in our Debonair Ideal segment. So big show next week as well. And then don't forget, check out the Smooth Drawers, guys. I'm going to be on this weekend, coming out of the bullpen for them down in Atlanta. SmoothDrawers.com, ESPN 1230. So I'm looking forward to invading the Atlanta airwaves. We're now to our Stogies of the Week segment. This is the foundation of Stogie Geeks. When this show was founded, even before I joined it, this was really the first podcast where actually reviewing cigars on the air has happened, and we've been this has been, I think, every episode but like 1 or 2 we didn't do a Stogies of the Week. But going forward, this is a staple. We'll always have that. So we're pleased to join by Tom Pearson. Tom, thanks again for participating tonight.
Thanks for having me. If anybody cares, because you guys all mentioned it, I'll call. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where Commonwealth Cedar Spills is headquartered here in my workshop. So I guess from you, I'm kind of I'm northwest of where you're at, but I'm in the south in the U.S. So I'll just call it your Louisville outpost.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Louisville studio, yeah. I mean, we're definitely pleased to always have you on, and thanks for the time as well. And, check out Tom's products. He makes some great products. The Cedar Spills are the best in the industry, so definitely check those out as well. He does, and as Fred mentioned, Tom is really, and I can honestly say he's an ambassador to this industry, probably as good as anyone out there. So we're very, very fortunate that you're a part of it.
Kind words, thank you. Yeah, and Fred's right. And if you're around me at a cigar shop anywhere in the country or a cigar lounge, and I buy a box of cigars, I am notorious for giving away 2 to 3 to 4 because it just seems like, well, I like it. I'm guessing there's somebody around me, a guy, a gal, who's going to like it as well. So I'm like, here, try one. It may not be your thing, but maybe it is. And hey, it's free. And if I bought it, I'm sure it's pretty good because I smoked enough horrible cigars, so I have one. And thank you. The cigar industry is fun. I make cedar spills. It's the one cigar accessory you don't really need because you can make fire with matches and lighters. But I think it's just it's a more traditional and, in my opinion, a lot of times a better way to light a cigar and taste more of it sooner. But yeah, anyway, so cigars were smoking. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely. We always appreciate that, Tom, as well. Like I said, this is I think it's the fun segment that we do. It's a little different than what we do on Cigar Coop, which is more of a technical review report. But this is where we kind of we go through our experiences here, and I want to comment on what you just said though about when you're at a cigar event. So I could probably be put into that. At one time I was in that category.
Right.
What happened was, now that I do box purchases, I tend to go back and do box photography. So so as a result, I don't usually open the box anymore at the event. I don't get the box signed unless I have a second box, because I'm doing box photography. It doesn't really fit into what we're trying to do. So that's kind of been, but I could, again, that's the fun part about cigars is sharing them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. I'll start off with one that I had, and this is the final cigar that I reviewed in the Skinny Monsters series, which I've gone through now all 10. So I reviewed all 10 of them on Coop and on this show. So I actually started going through this prior to IPCPR, and I worked backwards through the box, and I was hoping to have it done by Halloween. It didn't work out like that, but I did get to the Frank as the last one. Now, the Frank is kind of the blend that started it all for Tatuaje Monsters. That original Frank, it's an epic blend. And I've had the little. Have you smoked any of these monsters at all?
Oh yeah, I've had several of them. And I've had some of the monsters. And the little. I mean, he's done such an incredible series of those smokes. It's incredible.
Yeah, the Frank, I would say, in most people's assessments, it's probably at the top, that blend. I mean, I could say this when I went to the little monsters and the pudgy monsters.
Yeah,
it was I never smoked the original, so I can't say the original, but those two offshoots were very, very good. Now the Skinny Monster one, it's different in that it is not only a different size, but it's not box pressed. It's a rounded petite Lancero with a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, and it's in the 6x38 format. Now I'll say this: every monster can't be great. Okay,
right.
And some are better than others. And Paul and I have talked a lot about when you start changing a size, it's going to change up the blend. I think with the Frank, the Skinny Frank, this is one of those cases. It was a good cigar. Okay, I enjoyed it. It's probably worthy of picking up a 5-pack of them, but it wasn't at that Frank level that I had with the little box press or the pudgy box press. It was different. So. Not a bad one by any means, but it still gives you a lot of the original things with the Frank. I think it was just, I think there was just what I found with this cigar. There was a little more of a pungency with the spice on this cigar that kind of took away from some of the other flavors. But like I said, nonetheless, it's a good cigar. Like I said, I think the best right now. I'm going back and forth if it's the Mummy or the Skinny Mummy or the Skinny Face was my favorite. But certainly this is a 5er, and it may seem like a downer considering like those other ones were more of a Chuck Norris level.
Sure.
Yep.
But that's going to happen, and that's I give Pete just tons of credit for the whole all the series he comes out with. They're always tasty. They're always just a little different, and maybe you can find a common thread if you smoke. The little, the pudgy, the monster, whatever, you can find that consistency through there. And that's why I like your reviews, because you'll do if you get a pre-release and you get a release and then you go back. That's why I like your your feedback, your reviews, your palate's a little different from mine, which I can appreciate. But you can see those consistencies, and if, hey, and if they're a little different, all the better.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know I went back last year and went through all the little monsters again, and there were some
Yeah.
changes with them, some for the better, some for the worse. So again,
Yeah.
I think overall the skinny monsters it wasn't necessarily my favorite of the samplers. But like I said, I think if you're a Tatooine fan, you're going to want to have this sampler in your collection at some point.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, I got one or two. Actually, I got two.
Yep. Let's start with one, and we'll kind of go back and forth.
All right, I'm putting this up here on the screen so folks can see it. It's just got a letter K on the band, and it says 1927. So it's just got a K on the band. It says 1927, and on one of the sides of the band it says 1957. And then on the other side of the band, it says 1953. It's going to be kind of hard to read. I didn't want to take it out of the cellophane. But this cigar with the K is called the Maduro. And it's from my friends over at Bluegrass Cigar Suite. They are the most uncommon cigar shop you're ever going to find in Kentucky, maybe anywhere, or I should say unassuming. They're in Williamstown, Kentucky, maybe an hour south of Cincinnati and a little over an hour to the east of Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm at. This cigar, it's got a K on it, but it's called the Maduro because it is a Maduro, and it's a great little smoke, or it's a great big smoke. And, if I put my ring gauge up to it, it's 7 inches. I think it's 50 in the ring gauge. It's a great solid smoke. It is a Maduro in every sense of the word, and it's interesting because off the foot I get a nice spice pop, and then it mellows out or diminishes, and then it comes back. And it kind of does that the whole way through the cigar. So to my palate, when I'm down to where the cigar band is, it's just this nice, big yet mellow flavor. But it does have hills and valleys as I'm smoking through it from the first inch to the next and all the way through. And a bit of a background on it, Dennis and Jordan Kenner run the shop, father and son. The K here is, in the whole cigar, is a tribute to their grandfather who had a horse tack company, or that was his business. And for those who don't know, horse tack, that's all the stuff that goes on horses and around horses. If you're into rodeo or equestrian or all that stuff, from the saddle to the ropes to the bridles to the, you name it. Anyways, horse tack. And he used this kind of a letter K as his brand for his business. And it was a big letter that was hanging, and it makes sense because their name is Kenner. And they wanted to make this as a tribute. And the fun part of this cigar, getting it started, they had the idea about a little over a year ago, but they were doing the numbers, and they're like, we got this deadline in August coming up, and if we don't get it before, the first week in August, it wasn't going to happen. So they got it started, they got it rolling, and then they looked at the deadline dates, and they really, if I remember right, Jordan Kenner telling me, they really had to go down and push the farm out of country to get a hold of and to make sure they moved and pushed it to the guys in Florida. And I don't want to name too many names, and it's all legal, and they got all the paperwork done, and the dates are literally the last day possible. The cigars were rolled, they were banded, they were in the country, they had been signed for, and then they had been forwarded to them because they are. And it's weird because of the way those regulations work. They own a cigar shop. They're not a manufacturer. I'm sure they had this done, on a consignment. I'm sorry, consignment's not the word. On a contract with a cigar maker, is a lot of shops do, but they had to get it by a certain very specific deadline date. So it came in at the very last minute. I like this cigar. It's on the bigger end of my palate, and my palate. Skip Martin, everything from Intemperance to everything at Roma Craft is on the bigger end of my palate. I put this up there toward that end, but a really pleasant smoke. Trying to remember the price point off the top of my head. It didn't strike me as unreasonable. They've got three different sizes in here. I want to say it was like a $9 smoke. But again, Bluegrass Cigar Suite, Williamstown, Kentucky, a great shop. And again, the most unassuming shop, and that's the word I want to use, because if you pull up to it, it looks like a concrete strip mall. I think there's a tax guy and a pet store on one end, some kind of semi-dilapidated welcome to Kentucky Child Care Center on the other end, and they're kind of in the corner, and you walk into it and it just looks like a really great convenience store. But if you take a deeper look, they've got a great humidor. I mean, an awesome selection of boutiques and big brands. They've got pipe tobacco. They make their own blends of pipe tobacco. They got big bags of tobacco for guys who want to roll their own or into pipes. And then if you ask them, they'll let you take a peek into their private cigar lounge. And it is awesome. I mean, it's not the Grand Havana room, and I've been to both of them in New York and California, but it's comfortable. It's nice, and they do great cigar events throughout the year at the shop. So if you're there, you can even order them, call them up, place an order for their Maduro. It's a great smoke. And they also invented something, Coop. I don't know if you've ever heard of, you know what cigars are? You probably know what archery is. They have something called cigarchery. Cigarchery, because Jordan Kenner is just an incredible archer to begin with. Like I think he did that in school for many years, and then in competition and as a hunter. And they do cigarchery, and I was there a couple of times, and I forgot her name. She's a little tiny lady from La Aurora, was in town. And what they'll do outside in the parking lot, because again they're in like this concrete-ish kind of strip mall, they'll put up hay bales on one end where no one can get struck, and they'll put targets up, and it's a big target. It's like 5 feet or 6 feet down to a small 6-inch circle in the middle. And as you get closer with your arrow and you get so many shots, you might get a t-shirt, you might get a hat, you might get a lighter, you might get a cigar, and as you get in the center, you'd get a box. And it was a great event. But cigarchery, it was a brilliant thing. And to watch somebody who's never pulled back on a 30, 50, 60-pound bow, and I think it's just fun. It's just fun to do and fun to watch. So, cigarchery. But yeah, Bluegrass Cigar Suite, the Maduro, it's just got the big K. As a tribute to their grandfather and maybe to all the generations of Kenners. Just great tobacconists, great shop.
One last question. Is it a Dominican made or is it Nicaraguan?
See, now you're going to ask me all the details that I'm not real sure about. I just know it's a great smoke. I don't want to put the wrong one out. Maybe check them out on Twitter or Facebook. And as a follow up to this on your social media, I'll get the details and put it out there. If they may have told me, but they may not have told me because they may want to kept it a secret.
That's totally okay.
But it definitely it is, and I know you'll know it. Anybody who smokes this, if you had Maduros, you smoke this, and you're like, yeah, it's Maduro. There's no mistaking it. It's big. It's a nice dark wrapper, great construction, well done.
Nice. Check it out. Definitely, that's like I said. These are just. It's cool when we have people from like other parts of the country, like again Louisville, because and Paul and I discovered this when we started doing the show. There were brands that were more New England centric.
Oh,
and then there were brands that were more Southeast centric, and there you got Ohio Valley, Kentucky. It's very interesting, and it's something that I know our listeners do appreciate a lot too, because we do have a lot of hardcore cigar people out there. So I think they're always looking for something like that. So I would say definitely check this out. Definitely check it out. It sounds very, very good.
I have one more, but are you going to go next, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go next. Okay. Yep. So this next one is by our friend Mike Bellady of MLB Cigar Ventures. And Mike is, Mike's a friend of the show. I'm not going to make any bones about it. Mike, if everyone knows Mike, his probably claim to fame on the Stogie Geeks show, he was part of the infamous Ass Press Cigar, where Stogie Santa lost his cigar on the air. Episode 152, all you need to look at. It's the most it's actually not our most downloaded episode, but it is the most talked about episode out there. So
nice.
So definitely I spoke something called the Imperia Islero, which is his second blend. And the Imperial line, he has two lines of cigars. He has Imperia, or two brands, Imperia and David P. Elric. David P. Elric is a newer one that came out at the trade show. It's made at EPC, Ernesto Carrillo Jr. is doing it at Tabacalera Alexandra. And Imperia comes out of the Casada factory. And he's got an Imperia, and it's Imperia Islero. So little kind of background how I got to this point in the review. I smoked one at the show, at a trade show, and it was positive, a positive impact. Nothing negative, but at the trade show, it was the same thing. I spoke Fred Martial Law at the trade show, and I liked it. But when I went back and smoked it later on, I got so much more out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I took an Islero to Cuba, and my first night, I happened to be staying right on the Malecon, right? I was actually at a housing unit right on the Malecon, and I lit one up on the balcony, and I'd already smoked several cigars that day. Again, positive experience, but couldn't really get what was coming out of that cigar. So I recently went through more of a review cycle with this cigar, and this is a home run by Mike. I smoked it in the Pita size, which is a Corona,
Mm-hmm.
a 5.5 by 44. It uses an Ecuadorian Habano 2000 wrapper, Dominican Criollo 98 binder, and Dominican Criollo and Pennsylvania Lajero in the filler. And this was intended to be a very strong cigar. And there's some stuff on Cigar Coop that talks about how he got to this point. He was working with another wrapper originally, and then it wasn't as strong as he wanted it. So he put the Habano 2000 wrapper on it. It got it to the strength level. But what I'll say is this is a very, very flavorful cigar. He called it the strongest cigar out of the Casadas. It's definitely one of the stronger cigars that's out of the Casadas, but it's not. It's not a Skip Martin Neanderthal or Saga Short Tails powerhouse. I mean, those are just some powerhouse. Those are probably two of the strongest cigars I've smoked anyway. But this is it's on the upper end of medium to full with this cigar, and it's a definite bold cigar. And when you retrohale this thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know what the cigar is going to really deliver. And a lot of our hardcore Stogie Geeks fans, we have Mike's based in New England, and I was seeing a lot of really, really good reviews on this cigar from guys like Big Pete, Jim, guys who they're on the show, and they would just telling me how great this cigar was, and I gotta concur. It was a fantastic cigar. It's good price point, $8.50. I know it's a Corona, it's a little small, but I tell you what, I felt like I got my money's worth with this cigar. It really delivered, and it's a box-worthy cigar on the Stogie Geek scale. And like I said, Mike's a friend of the show, but this is really, I think, his breakout cigar. And I'm going to be trying some of the other sizes of this. I've been focusing on these Coronas really since the show, but I got to start hitting some of the other sizes. He did a good job with this cigar. He was at Tweet Up, I believe, Mike, this year. I believe he was.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great.
Yeah. It took me a minute there. I think I'm like, yeah. Tweet Up was a little smaller this year in years past, but still a great time. But yeah.
Yeah, it's he has the other one, the Imperio, which is the blue band. It looks similar to La Imperiosa's band. Not identical, but they're kind of in that same wheelhouse, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yep. What's your other cigar, Tom?
All right. Well, I'm lucky in a way because I don't think I know the exact blend, but it's I'll put it up here, and it's the Drew Estate Safari Blend 2016. I didn't go on the cigar safari. Was just let me move that here. There you go. But I was lucky enough. Jonathan and Ben Pearson and the whole crew came into Louisville at an event, and this one is Safari Blend 9949, produced on January 18th of 2016. And as I understand it, with these cigars, if you do go on the cigar safari, and that's an event where you go down out of country and visit Drew Estates, pardon me, and take the safari tour, you're going to not only see the factory and the behind the scenes and meet the entire crew there and spend some time with Jonathan and all the great cigar makers that are under the Drew Estates umbrella. You also get a very particular cigar blended for your particular week down there. And I think what happened here is, I'm sure it happens in a lot of organizations, they probably blended way too many of them. And knowing Jonathan, he's gracious. When they had an event coming here through Louisville, he brought this out, and I've been sitting on it, since I think, let's see, it says January 18th. I think I got this in February or March of this year, and I've been sitting on them for, now over 6-7 months, and I started smoking one, and I was like, wow, this has got just tons of flavor. There's a lot going on here. I know the 2015 blend had 3 or 4 different tobaccos in it. It's just uncommon. It really it's a wow moment when you smoke it. And they come in 5 packs. Really nice when you get them. And a great value price on it as well. I think I bought these at Riverside Cigar Shop just across the Ohio River in Indiana. And I remember smoking it, and I was like, wow, that's insane. I'm going to wait a week. I'm going to smoke another one. Well, when I got the second one out of my humidor, I went to smoke it. It just so happened that Jonathan Drew was coming through town for an event. And I went out there. And I don't know if you've, Ben Pearson,
Yep, I was actually on a cigar safari with him.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I had the second one. I was going to the event. I was about halfway through it, and I walked in, and I just walked right over to Ben, and I looked at it, and I went, "What the hell? Why aren't you making more of these? What's going on here?" And he looked at me, and I looked, and it's just, you can see it's got this white generic, band. It just has.
That's the thing. Yep.
Yeah, and I looked at him, and I took it out of my mouth and handed it to him. And he looked at it. He's like, "Oh yeah. You're never gonna get that again." And I looked at him like, oh, okay, thanks. And he's like, well, that's just how it goes. We make them for the cigar safari. Every once in a while, we'll make more than we give away for whatever reason. And they're gracious enough to bring them out to cigar events, which if you've never gone to a Jonathan Drew or Drew Estate event, whether it's Jonathan or a sales rep or anybody, go. They're so gracious. They're so generous with the cigars, and the price. And like this 5-pack was just, as I recall, just dirt cheap. And I was so surprised when I smoked it, but that's the wonderful aspect of these, cigar makers. They get a hold of some great tobacco. They sit on it for a while. They try it out. My only regret is maybe I didn't buy another 5-pack, because I think now I have 2 left now, or 3 maybe. But yeah. So I think what I need to do is basically get off my butt and go on a cigar safari and take the whole tour, get the whole experience. I need to go to Cuba, so that's like number 1. Number 2, get down there and take one of the tours, see the farm. I want to see the pool. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've been there. Yes, it's the Liga Privada pool.
Yeah, exactly. It's got the Liga Privada lion, the whole crest in the bottom of the pool, and a stellar, spectacular view. And I'm like, that's where I need to be smoking cigars. Nothing wrong with smoking cigars in Louisville, Kentucky, with the rolling bluegrass, a little bit of bourbon, but it's 34 flipping degrees here, folks. It's a little cool. So, yeah, need to get down to the cigar safari. But yeah, the safari blend, just outstanding. I can't say enough about it. Just spectacular.
They have, so I'm actually going back in February. I'm actually going with the folks at Cigar Dojo invited me, and I'm going to go. And yeah, those safari, and they give you an opportunity to make your own safari blends. Mine were all terrible.
Yeah.
But I've actually smoked some really good ones. I've actually really seen some people produce. The guy who's going to be doing the show at me, Stace, next week, produced a fantastic blend. Actually, he did that one at Hoya. So he's done a really good blend. Remember that Drew Estate BOTL cigar? You remember that?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
That started as a safari blend, from what I was told.
Nice.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. So it's more. As Steve Sacco will say, he called it like garanimals. Like I guess the tobaccos are all meant to work together, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like matching clothes, but sometimes you get a really good blend out of it. So. And sometimes people really know what they're doing, as opposed to me, who has no clue, right?
Yeah, I can't.
It's easy for me to be Monday morning quarterback, but yeah.
Yeah, I could never blend a cigar. I can barely. I remember trying to roll my own cigar once at an event, and I'm a couple minutes into it, and I'm like, oh, this is working out, because they're giving you tons of guidance. And I finish it up, and I'm looking at it, and somebody's like, wow, that's cool. You made a shaggy foot, and I looked at it. In the bottom leaf at the foot was horrible. It wasn't shaggy. It was just pathetic. It was just kind of, the tobacco was waving in the wind. It was horrible. But I was like, oh yeah, I meant to make a shaggy foot. Yeah, indeed. So all respect to all you guys out there, you cigar makers who are listening to the show tonight and in the future. How in your rollers. It's incredible. I can't roll a cigar. I can't imagine trying to blend a cigar. It's a skill set I will never possess.
No, it's a very I won't either. When I went, I was on one factory tour and they had us roll, and they paired us up with one of the people there, and I got this like 25-year-old pregnant woman. No, I didn't get her pregnant, but it was a 25-year-old pregnant woman applying it.
Yeah, I see where you're going there.
So and she didn't speak a lick of English, and I was just like a complete incompetent. So it was like, you just had a lot of just for putting that simple wrapper on, right?
Oh yeah.
We go and enjoy like those cigars. My goodness, I mean, it really is it really is an art there.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
craftsmanship. Whether you're making cigars, and not just boutiques, but any cigar, you're making coffees, beers, craft beers, bourbons, whiskeys. There's craftsmanship that goes into it, and you might get lucky once or twice. But I tried rolling a cigar once or twice, and it was horrible. So I can't imagine I'd be any good at blending it. So
no,
I'll stick with making the little wooden sticks. It's working out really well so far. So I'll stick with my
exactly,
competencies.
exactly. I got one more, and then
Yeah.
it's the EP Carrillo Short Run 2016.
Yeah.
So just a little on the last episode of Stogie Geeks Shorts, I took everyone through the history of the short run series.
Hmm.
So you can, if you want to learn about all the short runs from 2010 to this year, be sure to check out Stogie Geek Shorts on the short runs. This is so this one, there's been a little bit of news with this one, in that now it's going to be regular production, the
Yep.
2016, and there's more. There's going to be a second 2016 hit in the stores, which is going to be a Nicaraguan Puro. And they're going to call it the Short Run 2016 Nicaraguan. And I'm sure we'll probably see Jose Blanco start lighting these up very soon.
Yeah,
But
that's weird.
yeah, that's a whole other hot topic.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but actually, very different short run all round is what I'll say with this particular cigar. It's an Ecuadorian Habano over Nicaraguan binder and filler. And he's using a Nicaraguan filler, Ernesto, from an area called Somoto, which is a small area that does produce some cigar tobacco, not a lot of it. And if people use it, they don't talk a lot about it. But Elohio, a very small boutique company,
Mhm.
used to use a wrapper from Somoto. It's just a very hard area, from what I understand, to grow tobacco, because it's a harsher area it's not far, I guess, from the main areas of Condega, Esteli, and Jalapa, but it's a little more of a harsher area. So it's a little different. This is a different cigar, also, that it's only one size in this short run, a 6x50 Toro, and it's got the new EPC look on it. So everything about it
Yeah.
different. And it's a very different. Yeah, it's different for Ernesto
There's
too.
a lot of gold on that. There's a lot of gold on that band, if I remember right, because I know
Yep.
I do believe I had one, because I was kind of taken aback by the look, because it's not all the EP Creos, but a lot of them I just remember red and black in the EP.
Right.
Boom, and they're great sticks. And then I saw this one, and the real takeaway I have from the one I smoked, if I remember correctly, was just smooth, like
Yeah.
just smooth. No, nothing, and I mean that in the best possible way. Like, not a big pop here and there, not mellow, consistent from the beginning. Like, yeah, it's almost scary, because the last thing I need right now with my cigar buying habits is another go-to stick that I can, like, oh, I can smoke that any day, every day. I don't need that. I've got plenty of those. But that's a great problem to have, is that, finding a stick that you're like, yeah, this could be part of my regular rotation.
Yeah, and actually, I'm looking at what I wrote in a review, and I wrote about a creamy texture that kept this profile smooth throughout. It
Yeah.
absolutely was, and that's what it went. There's a very unique sweetness to this cigar too. It's a natural tobacco sweetness, but there's other qualities, I'd say, to it. It's not it's a medium strength, medium bodied cigar. Everything about it was really, really good. I gave it a box worthy as well, and it's a little pricier at $12 a cigar, but I think it's, when you listen to the short run, people listen to the short run series I talked about, some of the differences, and there's some really epic smokes in there. This one, the sad part of it is I'm kind of bummed that it is going regular production, just because I think there was something, there was a charm to those cigars being, released, and they were true. There was only one. They brought one back for a retail exclusive in a different size. It was the 10, and then the 12 became the EP Carrillo New Wave Reserva, sort of. So,
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be really good. I think you're gonna see they did a whole overhaul of the brand at the trade show, and now with Jose, we've talked about this on the show.
Yeah.
With Jose Blanco, and with all due respect to Tom Pearson, I did. If they didn't hire Jose Blanco, the next best ambassador would have been Tom to hire. But Jose Blanco, I did call him top free agent available right now, as far as or the top.
yeah.
I don't want to say free agent, but if you're going to sign an ambassador to promote your brand, you don't got anyone better than Jose.
Oh no, that's the guy to do it. Definitely. Coop, do you smoke in the morning? Only reason I ask, because I would put this short run up there is, I don't. Well, anybody who knows me knows I don't smoke before noon Eastern Standard Time. So the best I can hope for is to go to California or change time zones if I'm going to smoke earlier. I just generally don't. Now, if I'm over in London, maybe a little different. But when I remember smoking this, it reminded me, again, in regards to the smoothness of some of the Connecticut shades I really love, where I could really just start up with a really nice, either a Cuban coffee or a creamy espresso in the morning, and it would pair just perfectly. Just a nice, smooth cigar.
Yeah, I do smoke in the morning. Actually, I do a lot when I review a cigar before I go in the office. A lot of times, I'll do that and then shower and head in or go back to sleep. I'll get up real early. So I do that. And sometimes I can't do that when it's too strong a cigar. It's more difficult to do it. But yeah, no. So I would agree with you on that.
Good call, though. That's a great smoke.
Yeah, it was. Well, Tom, I think we hit the end. I really appreciate you coming on. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. Thanks for having me out there. Thanks for doing what you do. I say it all the time when I'm on, because I know you won't say it for yourself. We all out here appreciate your consistency, your prolific reviews. And again, you're one of the few guys out there in any organization that does reviews in the cigar media industry. You'll start with a pre-release, you'll do the current release, and then you'll look back at it and give a total recap. And that helps not only guys like me and others that are established cigar smokers, but there's so many, there are new guys and gals that come into this all the time. And one of the first things they do, if they're like me, they read and they go online, they ask around, and your reviews give them guidance, and they're pragmatic. They're not paid for. You're genuine and you're very authentic, and you're good at saying, hey, this is my palate, what I get out of it. So thanks, just thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for having me on.
And thank you for everything you do as well. Anyway, that's going to wrap up episode 209 for Stogie Geeks. Be sure to tune in, obviously, the next week's show. You don't want to miss. We're going to have the Rocky Patel interview. We're going to do a coffee segment. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just on the calendar coming up, episode 211 will be on November 28th. Omar de Frias returns to Stogie Geeks. December 5th, which is my birthday, we will have Phil Zengi from Debonair. It's been a while since we've had him on. December 12th, just looking ahead, we have Jack Tarano from Tarano. It's always a blast having Jack on. And then we'll wrap up the 19th of December with Miguel Schodel from Duran Cigars. I mentioned a Padron interview. That will be pushed out to... We are planning to interview George Padron right after Thanksgiving, but we're going to push that one to the first interview for next year. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tom. Thanks to Fred Rui. Thanks to the guys in Rhode Island. And we'll see you next week. Take care.